bienvenidos a Un Té con Manzanilla. Yo estoy muy contenta nuevamente de estar con ustedes y esta vez tengo una invitada muy especial. La verdad es que para mí ha sido un lujo estar con ella porque hemos compartido algunos momentos en diferentes, se puede decir, clases y ahora, bueno, pues está con nosotros. La entrevista va a ser en inglés, pero bueno, ya saben que va a tener subtítulos, así que espérenla y si quieren verla en subtítulos pueden ir a YouTube. Thank you, Alli. I will say in my audience, I'm very happy to having you here today. We share a little space. We talk about a lot of themes together. And when I hear about your book and your story, I really was so touched. So now, I'm so honored that you are being here. And I want to make a little introduction about your work. De Lazzer. I say it good? Yeah? Okay.
Awesome.
So therapist, author, and eating disorder specialist, and someone, like I already said, deeply touched me. Oh my gosh. You are going to see it right now, but Ali has a beautiful energy that always can touch me in many ways. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. And thank you for, Carla, it means so much that when you come and attend, because it's a space where we get to share our community and you add to it. So thank you for joining, inviting me here, but also joining me there.
Oh, thank you so much for being here because Ali has a lot of experience in eating disorder, pricing. We are going to talk about all of these. She really showed me so much experience in all the ways I learned for these classes. It's not classes, it's a space. Everything that she shares is like, whoa, that's a good point. Like, let me go looking forward. I'll try to find something more about what she said. It's amazing. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time and be so kind to share all your experience. Probably ask you,
sure,
why you start to, your work in eating disorder? How it started there?
Oh gosh, that actually is pretty easy. I think a lot of us come into this, either we've known someone or we've been through it ourselves or what have you. As you know, I have my own journey of recovery, but really I think what got me into this was back in the old days, because I am decades older than you. We didn't have things like this, but we had something called a listserv. I used to stay on it and I was in charge of moderating it, bringing up discussions, but after I had a level of recovery, I wanted to support other people in that recovery level. So I would post topics, we'd have discussions. So this listserv was really just a lot of people struggling, trying to heal, trying to find the light, trying to find hope. It was thought that you were in recovery for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And so there was a part of me that's like, if you read my story in MeaningFULL, like you have, you know, it was not necessarily planned that I would recover. And I don't want to give false hope to anyone that they're like, don't have to think about it, because you know what? I was ill with eating disorders for so very long. And I do sometimes look back and wonder if I had some of the resources and awareness that we have now, if it could have been so much of a shorter time.
Mm-hmm.
So why I came into this was I used to be up till 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning on this listserv, and I would think it was still 10 p.m. I had no idea that much time passed.
Wow.
So I loved it.
That's something that you said right now. Everything during the time changed, right? Because I do remember my first time that I was going to treatment long time ago. People said like, this is going to be forever. You had to take care of you. Yeah.
And like, why do it? If you have to be sick forever, why?
Yeah. And what's the hope that they give you? I remember like, okay, I'm never going to be normal, right? That was my feeling. Like, I'm never going to be normal and I always going to have to take care of what I eat. That was my feeling all the time.
Yeah, I think I align with that. It felt like if I can't ever be free of it, then it's always going to feel somewhat like this.
Yeah.
And so I think, again, back in the day, Carolyn Costin was really one of the only people. Judith Rabinor, I believe, was another, but like it was not. And then East Coast, West Coast had different abilities to be open about it. But Carolyn really pushed for recovery to be able to be in a past tense. And so I remember, because I was really lucky to be in California, and her treatment center was actually pretty close by when I started therapy school and all of that. But I remember kind of feeling like when we started talking before we recorded, I kind of felt like I had this weird bad secret that I thought I was actually free of it.
Wow.
I look back and I'm like, that is so weird to have to like hold this secret, because I thought, am I wrong? Am I going to be judged? But it just felt freer and freer and freer and freer until like I just didn't notice it. And then huge life things would happen. And it just never was an option again. So, for anyone listening, I don't want to say, if you believe that you're going to need to be in recovery, but that helps you get to the next space of more freedom, go with it.
Yes.
Goodness. I didn't even think recovery or recovered was possible. Then some stuff happened. I started working toward more freedom. And in the end, my journey toward more freedom, less stress, less anger, less all of that, actually became full freedom.
Yeah, I love that you say that, Ali, because it's very important. I think also in these times, the label of recovery is like so praised. And like, you had to get recovered. You had to get recovered. Sometimes put your eyes in that label is so hard for many people, right?
Well, there's a new book coming out that actually I brought on a recovery coach to co-author, because she could bring in some different like, your training, you get to do some of that in the trenches work that a therapist doesn't really get to do. So it's called My Child Has an Eating Disorder, an essential guide for parents of kids, teens, and adults from Bloomsbury. That's coming out in August.
I got it.
Why I'm bringing it up is there's a big section on recovery, research, how as a field we don't necessarily agree. Some people think through my work, I don't want to stay focused on my own recovery here because it's so much broader, and I don't want people to over-identify with my story because then they judge their own stories.
Yes.
So when it comes to recovery, recovered, I agree. I'm hearing a lot of pressure put on people. And instead, I think it's really important to acknowledge, some of my patients, clients, I just prefer the word people, believe that they can never be recovered, but they accept, maybe they're a little skeptical, but they accept that other people can be.
Yeah.
But for them, it's never going to happen. But would they like to be a little freer? And so once that agreement, there's always room for more of a life that you want if you are living a life that you're not really in a space of finding each day to have lots of value. I know for me that most of my clients, the food stuff, it just gets in the way of experiences in life. So if people who are listening are living a life that's being interrupted, doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Even if you have a diagnosis that makes you focus on food, whether it's, you have to be gluten-free because you have celiac or whatever, diabetes, it's hard not to fall into a trap of it becoming so all-consuming.
Yes.
Because we have to eat to survive. People organize their social events around it. Food for a lot of people is joy. There's community, there's culture. Gosh, Carla, I was thinking about what I wanted to ask you, and I'm like, food means so much in different cultures. I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but like your culture, really, food's about bonding, welcoming.
Yeah. I mean, we can see a party without, like, not a party, like just go and visit your grandma. That's mean. Like you have a big, big meal there, and she worked. I mean, your grandma put all the love in that meal, and she's waiting. Probably she's not giving you a hug. See, the first thing they say, "Come and eat." That's the way that she's expressing love, right?
Right.
And we are always coming in. I don't know. In a Mexican table, is always food for everyone. Doesn't matter if you plan for 5 and there is 10 coming. All of them are welcome in the table. We just put more water to the beans and that's it. That's it.
And it's, as you said, food is a little bit of love. It's an expression of actually a language in some cultures.
Yes.
And I don't think I thought of that until right now. The language of what food preparation, all of that communicates.
Yes. Communicates a lot. Even like we have different food for different occasions, right? We have food for Christmas and food for
Amazing.
like different things, and it's amazing. Also, the flavors and the colors around the food, and how much impact that in your space. I mean, food means more of that. But when you have an eating disorder, you lost that part. It's like you can see the value of these little reasons, because obviously Mexican food has a lot of nutrients that the eating disorder don't let you eat it and judge it. And then you start losing that part. Oh, this is my culture. Remember, I always think like it's also history.
Yeah.
It's the story. That food talks about who we are and where we come in. That's so powerful.
History has a story.
Yes.
Oh, that is beautiful. History has a story.
Yes. It does.
I'm from the way I was raised. We, as you can see, it's a very white. Don't even know totally what it is. There wasn't a lot of culture. I know that like my grandma used to make Yorkshire pudding, which is this sort of almost like a quiche, but more of a bread. But that was one of the first times that I was like, oh wait, I might be connected to a culture there, because none of my friends know what this is. Oh yeah, it's so strange how like some people are just raised connected to a culture, and other people, I had to go really search to find my story in my history.
Wow, I never hear that before. I am in this part like, well, we know what is our food. That's it, right?
Oh no, I even had to go on 23andMe. I was like, I need to find out where people live that look like me, because I can't find it.
Wow. Where did you born here in LA?
Born in San Diego.
Ooh. Yeah.
Southern California through and through.
Yeah. That's a girl, California girl.
Like, yeah. Okay, sorry. Back to the eating disorder. I think I answered that pretty well, but
Actually,
so go ahead.
I will ask you something, because we talk about food when we're talking about culture, but we also think, or I also think that culture plays something important when it's about body rejection. I think that's over there because it's not the same, right? I don't know if you can see that. It's the same, but not the same. I don't know how you can picture that.
Say a little more about, if you don't mind, say a little more about what you mean by culture creating body. Am I tracking that?
Yes, not creating, but plays a role there. Play a role there. Yeah, more like not creating, like play a role. Culture, and of course, in any way. But I can picture different. I mean, I grew up in Mexico, and now my kids are growing up here in California, and it's different.
How? That's so interesting to me. What do you, with your attention and focus,
Yeah.
what are you noticing about growing up here versus growing up there in regard to body rejection, body acceptance?
I noticed it in the difference of here in LA. I don't know. Well, I think all America probably. To divide bodies into races, kind of that. Like these kind of bodies are into races, right? In Mexico, it doesn't exist races. All are Mexicans, right? But like we don't say this is white Mexican, this is like dark Mexican. We don't say that. They are all Mexicans. That's it. We have classicism, rich people. We divided in that, yes, but no in races. Like, and that's when I come in here and start obviously a study about bodies, diversity of the bodies, and all that stuff. I found this very like races is not something that I've been like touched. I never hear about these divisions. It feels weird. Even like say like, the body, all these fat phobia coming from the black bodies and all these type. It's for me, I understand it, but I never live it in that way. And I feel it's different.
I can see that. And the question for you is exploring right now with us about the contributions. I thank you so much for sharing that. As you said that, what came to my mind was recognizing that the way brains work, we tend to categorize, like the brain is constantly chattering and categorizing. And sometimes we notice it, sometimes we don't. When we have like a thought that's just so out there, I think we're like, oh, brain, that's so silly. But thoughts like that happen over and over, and we start to just kind of accept them.
Yes.
And in that process, what I just heard you saying was, but even if it's for explaining or research or whatever the reason we are categorizing, in the process, we're also separating and dividing. And I think for me, where that connects to the body piece also is because a want to feel special, a want for power, a want for safety
Yes.
are then going to start these more than other categories.
Yes.
And I'm just working through this in my brain, thinking about the research, thinking about clinical experience. And I'm not trying to say this is why. I'm saying this is what I'm recognizing as you're speaking is how could that not happen when we are separating by race and body? Because we do have different shapes and structures and epigenetics, and why some of our structures are the way that they are, because we have to do that work in another part of the country. So inherently, we just are similar and different at the same time.
Yes. I love that. Also, I think what I asking you that is because when we work in the field of eating disorder, we also treat little different races, different
Oh,
cultures. When you obviously you are afraid to some parts of the body, the changes of the body, the picture that sometimes I think, oh, I don't know how my client is going to relate it with their bodies in different ways, but we have to be open also to these different impacts of the cultures and the images that they related to, right? When you're talking about that.
Absolutely. And it's so layered. As you said you grew up in Mexico. I'm thinking about a friend from Brazil who much as a friend, not client, so I could say it, had such pressure for thinness, for like even where we live. I said I grew up in San Diego. Well, I grew up right by a beach. So the pressure or pressure to fit into the normative, to be in the desired category, the socially desired, this whatever was seen as almost the safest category to belong to. And that's where I see, sometimes we are going against our genetics. I know that that's kind of like old news for a lot of people, but it's also new news to some. There's a small portion of the population that can have some of the things that we see as the ultimate bodies, that we are marketed as the ultimate bodies. So it can keep us buying into things and staying small mentally and in our power for the rest of our lives, because some of us can spend the entire time trying to match measurements that our body's not built to go there. And even plastic surgery may not get there. If you were wildly wealthy, you still may not be able to get there.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because it's like you made your body as like a project of your life. Found this a lot when we start talking about eating disorders, and with some clients, they come and say like, they didn't notice it, but at the end, their bodies turns in the project of their lives for many years. And when they can picture that, it's so sad for them. Wow. Sorry. Yeah.
That is exactly what, when we talked offline and you said you wanted to mention anger.
Yes.
One of the bigger inspirations for me to start changing my life was looking through my photo albums and seeing, as you just said, the product instead of the life. And that pissed me off. I was like, I've lived all these years and I'm remembering my dress size and my weight. Now, keep in mind, some of this is because you've got disordered eating, you've got eating disorders, there's a fine line, severity, frequency, duration, all these different things. But here's the thing. Our attention on our body is distracting from the life that you actually want to live in your values, the life that you want to live within your relationships. When those things are distracting, it doesn't matter if it's pathological or disordered or unpleasant or uncomfortable, it's still something that I invite you to look at because it's distracting from a life that you actually might have more fullness in. And when I looked at my picture, I was like, wow, why was I on that parade float? First of all, who talked me into it? Did I have fun? Why was I there? I bet I was freaked out by that costume.
Yeah.
And that's my memory of like being like, what a dumb way to be in a parade. When I looked at pictures from dances, and some people I couldn't even remember the names, who I went with. And I was like, that I remember my size? What is the dumbest thing to be that in this limited space, like a computer, only a certain amount of things can fit in this head. That's what's occupying? Oh, it pissed me off.
Oh my God. I love this. I love this, Alli, because it's true. I mean, I love it. No, and I think we didn't talk about that. That's why when I talk to you, it's like, that surprised me, because the first time that I hear about how much you can be angry with your eating disorder is when you mention it. And that's true. I mean, it happens to me probably during recovery, but not before. Yeah, it's true. Like, pull out from that string and you can get out the eating disorder. I love it.
Back when I was both in the eating disorder and in recovery, eating disorder feels pretty new. Bulimia nervosa wasn't even in the DSM till 1980. Binge eating disorder came in 2013. So we are still developing and emerging so much as a field. I have to look back and figure out what are the pieces that helped me change and at least offer the pieces. It's not that those pieces will be the formula for someone else, but if they can contribute to like a big list of ingredients for someone else, then I want to offer those. But now, Carla, we've done so much research. We have so much better theories, better interventions, better things to offer people. If they can have a relationship with a helping provider, if they can afford it, yes, very expensive illnesses, but if they can have experiences where they connect with the provider in a way where they don't have to sink away with shame, because the secrecy keeps the eating disorder active. Like, I don't want people to have to figure it out on their own or just stay with the eating disorder the rest of their lives. Treatment is partially a relationship. And if you really hate the person that you've just been forced to meet through insurance, can you get anything out of it? Or do you want wellness bad enough where you can get something out of it? If you need a relationship to be better, this is like don't be unethical, but this is like dating.
Yeah.
If you have more options, throw it out next.
Yes. I am in the same line. Yes. If it is not working. You don't have to be there 20 years until that works. No.
So to even give things a good chance, if your openness to recovery and healing is there, even if the person isn't like your favorite person, there still may be skills. If you're not very open and the person really feels like you're going to shut down more with, that is probably not going to be helpful for the eating disorder recovery. But maybe there's another area. It's so complicated. And I never want to say, I'm careful with how I talk about my own recovery because I cannot recommend it to other people because I do not know why I'm still alive. I look back at some of the things I went through and I'm like, my body just came through, but not everybody's does.
True.
So I can't be like, I figured it. And these are some of the things that I like. No, there are tons of things. There are good books. There are self-help. There are clinicians. There are coaches. There are teams. There is medical safety. If your doctor has any eating disorder, just knowing what's going on your insides can just help with some level of safety or security, even if you don't think that it matters at this point, because that's kind of part and parcel for many people with eating disorders. They're like, whatever, you throw up every day, whatever. I understand that it feels more important to honor the need for the body to be a product. And I'm also saying there it takes a toll. If you starve an animal that you love to death, if you over-exercise an animal that you love to death, like take your pets. Would you ever treat them the way that you are treating well, they have medical consequences at some point. So even though your brain, listeners, as it's not, it's fine. It's fine. Or I don't care. You know what? You may not, but someday you may. And right now I can nearly put down money, and I know that would be unethical, and I'm not going to actually bet with any of you, but I do bet that somebody does care.
Yes, I love it. And I like that example because sometimes I hear like, I don't know what is the correct thing to do. I am in this stage of doubts, right? Like, should I go? Should I know? Just put it outside of you and you're going to have the answer, or you're going to find the answer. What about if your daughter asks you that? What about if your mom told you that? What about if your partner? What about if your pet asks for food? Would you say no? No, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think, I know we don't want to like make a path, or like the only path to recover is this, but what do you think could be like something that have to be in recovery that we cannot escape? Not the only things, but something that had to be there, or like, because you have a part in your book. I know there is more resources now, and we are in this, you mentioned it now.
Even since my book, there are more resources, thank goodness.
Yeah. But I love your book, by the way.
It's called MeaningFULL. We should probably say the title.
I love it. We had to translate it, please. But yeah, I think for me, there is some things that couldn't escape in your process of recovery, that they had to be there. I don't know. Like,
you know what? I don't know if I can, I haven't really thought about it in that way, but it sounds like you have. Will you make this easy? What did you see?
I would say first, hope. For me, if wasn't hope there, I will never recover, because I think that little spark I needed to feel like, oh, probably I try it and let's see what happens. So hope for me is important. I don't know for you.
Wow. As I really think about this, don't know if hope, maybe in a tiny, tiny little mouse voice somewhere in there, but overall, me really was somebody finally not letting me live in my space of, it's just what I do, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. Somebody spoke up. The anger about the photo albums, and not knowing how to stop that from continuing, because I knew I didn't want the rest of, so I don't think that's called hope. I think for me, it was actually more pissed.
Yes, you were done.
I was just, I wanted less, I did not set forth to be recovered, because remember, in recovery was the only option. So I was like, well, fuck this. Just would like to remember what's in my fucking picture.
Later.
My parents are old. I would like to be present with them and not dating the stupid cake on the table. It took me out of so many moments where it was all about what was on the craft table, what was, the temptation of what I would eat. And again, some of this was that way in disordered eating, but once it went down that slide into the eating disorder, it was just like, it was just game on, obsessed.
Yes.
Game on. Yep. Competition, unhealthy practice, not caring.
Comparing yourself with the most random and stupid thing that when you think, say for say that, but it's like that. Really, I don't remember I compare myself with something like 5 feet in this little space. I'm fine.
Right?
Really? That's my comparison.
For me, back when it was these celebrities, and they would always publicize so many people who were like desirable, their measurements. Yes. So I literally was like, I am just going to work and at one point I was like, I can't get one of those measurements. And then I was like, do I save and try to take out some ribs? It's like, it was, right. So, here, Carla, you and I sit here and it might sound a little judgy when I'm like, my stupid thing. And again, that's my it's not a judgment. It's an ability to reflect with a bit, not of regret, because I don't regret. And I'm so grateful to have learned and grown and had this part of my life. And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have gotten to like learn this stuff, help people meet you. So I wouldn't undo anything. And I think it could have been so, so different. So I think when there's a spin of like, if I'll say the word stupid, this or that, it's just that spin of on hindsight. I hope it just keeps getting better and better regarding treatment, education, outreach. Like you doing this podcast, I saw 3 years. You are serving a population that doesn't have a lot of stuff translated into Spanish. It's needed. You're giving people opportunities to just know that a different life is out there. And that may be something that right now doesn't matter, but maybe in a few years, they're like, you know what? I don't believe in full recovery, but I remember that episode and I think I want to try that.
Well, I don't remember. Ali said like I was pissed off of not remembering my album, so I want to try that. I love that. Yeah, I think it just bring this seed to these little ears over there and just say like, why not? Why you don't try? I mean, you try all these things already because when we are in eating disorder, we try many things to get out of the eating disorder. Like really try a lot.
We are.
Yes.
Like all that you have put together podcasts, you are brave and show up to things where you know you're going to be the only person with an accent. You have all these qualities that the eating disorder used to use in its benefit. Yes. But now we get the benefit of your freedom through your podcast, through your seed planting, through your bravery of showing up and helping fill in the multidisciplinary conversations of you representing coaches and your experience. Like all of that, I'm guessing, if not all of it, a lot of it was used to be really in the eating disorder.
Yes. Yes, totally. If I was in eating disorder right now, I would not be doing anything of this because a voice will tell me, shut down, shut your mouth down now. You're not speak well. You are not able to speak English. You are not able to record anything. You are not able to do nothing. Just focus in your weight. That's the only thing that you can do. And that's not true.
I think you just gave me, when you, earlier when you asked the one thing that I think I had to have, it wasn't the anger. The one thing that I think and I will only say for me, made recovery more possible, even if I didn't use it, I needed to learn what my voice was. And what you just said, be quiet, shut down. I knew a lot of external things about what I should say, how I should be, you know, those things that you follow the path and you should feel safe. No, I mean, you follow the path and you should feel like yourself. You should be, you know, better, whatever it is. Followed external ideas, I think, more than learning what my own brain said, what my heart said, how I could learn to trust me more. And I'm not saying that like using your voice is required for it, because I don't think anything's required for it. I can't, there's no single thing for mine piece of it that actually I look back and I think made it possible, at least learning what my voice actually was. Now I use it all like too much. I get myself a little in trouble, which I like, but that's very different than when I was learning. Even what do I like?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I always say like the process of recovery is the gift of the recovery. It's not the label, thank you. It's like you give the diploma, but what happened during that process and what teach you or what knowledge did you get in that time? It doesn't matter if it's 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, like whatever. Get the power to just navigate the life in a different way. And that's the reason why, for me, it's important to recover. It's not like, oh, I got, of course, sit down in the table, enjoy. That's important. But have these moments where you know, like, you know what? I'm scared because I'm scared now. If parts of me like, why you are doing this? Why you are making it like interviewing English? These parts are in me. But you know what? Same as before. Fuck it up. I don't care. One day I start eating and this is not going to stop me. And it's the same.
Right. I'm so with you on that.
Yeah.
It's interesting when I look at kind of like thinking about the patients client I've worked with. So often they're the most amazing. They don't think it, which is why I have such a problem with the whole like high self-esteem, low self-esteem, because sometimes the people who I wished could see how they could have such high self-esteem, the lowest self-esteem. Self-esteem is actually like, if we go outside of research, basically it's our opinion of ourselves.
Yeah.
So if I think I'm a piece of poo, and if other people think I'm great, I'm going to still have crap self-esteem.
Yes.
So I think, in something that has taken a lot of years, but been such a delight is learning. And I don't mean this in like a selfish way, but like stopping with the self-esteem stuff and just kind of like getting curious, learning my voice, my values, and learning how to live in both around people who may not always agree. Like that's hard at first. When you were saying I'm scared, these things are hard, but they're also part of a life that when you can grow into knowing yourself and not abandoning yourself, I think that we get surrounded by more situations and people that actually support us.
Yes. I love that. And I think you make yourself more transparent.
Yeah.
And more who you are, and accepting that sometimes there is people that is not going to be in your life. There is people that go away. That's okay. Sometimes you are going to have bad days, and that's okay. You are going to have situations, and all of us passing difficult situations, having all these problems, and that's okay. You don't have to be, beat yourself up anymore. It's what it is. It's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alli, thank you so much. I mean, look at the hour.
It did.
I love to talk to you. It's very inspirational for me that you are here and listen your voice. Thank you for bringing this happiness spark, because you're really contagious with this spark of beautifulness that you have. Thank you so much.
You. So thank you. And for anybody, if I can say for anyone listening, I always wonder what resonates, what lands. And I know you'll post this, but like really invite people if they're comfortable to share if something landed, didn't land, whatever. I think it's such a wonderful conversation. And we don't have to have echo chambers or agreement. Just conversation.
Yes, I love it. Your book. I want to just invite the people to buy your book. I know there is that one, MeaningFULL. You can find it in Amazon, in everywhere, right? Because if people are looking for them, people listen in Mexico, there's people listen in Argentina, there's people listen in Spain. So if they wonder where they can buy it, they can buy it online. Yeah.
As you're noticing, I made sure I'd never advertise it in this way. I made sure that it's not just 23 stories of white, blah, blah, blah. I mean, people, different cultures, that was something that was so important to me in putting it together. 23, it's called MeaningFULL. And my new book is coming out in August, but this one is 23 life-changing stories of conquering dieting, weight, and body image. And originally when I did it, I still am trying to figure out how to reach people before they continue getting sick, because a lot of times we don't realize we're sick. We don't realize we've actually developed an eating disorder. We actually think we're failing a diet, we're failing willpower, we're failing, when actually you have excelled so much that you are in a full-blown eating disorder. And so some of the feedback I've gotten on this book has been people saying, gosh, I identified with multiple stories. And I saw that, there are ways that I can grow. I started talking to a coach. I started talking to a therapist. So I've gotten some beautiful feedback on it. One of the things that really drove it was making sure that nobody had a pass or a fail by one person's story. Like if you didn't connect enough, if it wasn't quite enough I was like, with 23, there's got to be a couple things for each someone will connect. Right?
Yeah, it does. And you have like, oh, that happens to me. Maybe not the whole story, but I have a point there. Yeah. And you know what? I really like it. The stories are amazing, but I think it's you inside that book, because it's not that book, the book that eating disorders and all these things are going to happen if you don't recover. And that is not that book, because it was like, whoa, I never think it that way. Like, how this did. Like, I love it. Yeah.
Not some are, icons in the fitness industry. And I remember some of the stories I wrote, some people wrote their own stories and then I edited them. But a lot of them, people sent me written interviews or I interviewed them. And so in the audio version of the book, you will hear the different ways people speak because I had audios of them.
No
and then I'd
way.
write the story and then I'd send it to them and they would fix things. And then we would go back and forth. But like I was the one that wrote it all. But when I recorded it, could hear, you will hear each person's voice in the stories because I can't say the lines without them.
Didn't know that. To listen in that too.
It's fun.
I'm going to do the audiobook now. For sure.
So generous. They just wanted, some people, I even had to really like bury their identities because it would have been a different story for them sharing, but each person just wanted to give and hope that other people were affected, somehow learned something from what they learned. So the whole book is just really generous.
Yeah. Well, they had to get it. People get the book. It's really good. We have 2 options. You can get it in a copy. You can listen it. And we will find someone to translate the whole book. Yeah, we need it in Spanish, for sure.
Carla, thank you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. And listeners, thank you so much.
Gracias por estar aquí. Vayan a YouTube. Ahí lo pueden encontrar con la traducción y nos vemos en el siguiente episodio.
I can understand certain words like